Confucius Biography. Confucius was once an influential Chinese logician, who taught a philosophy of right behavior, social interplay and kindness in the direction of others. During his lifetime, he sought to train his fellow residents on concepts of justice, provider and non-public integrity. After his death, his precepts and philosophy grew to become the cornerstone of Chinese subculture and philosophy, extensively recognized as Confucianism. Early life. Confucius was once born on 28 Septemeber 551 BCE in Lu, China, a province of the Zhou dynasty, close to present-day Daegu. He used to be born in a duration of spiritual and cultural turmoil, with the extraordinary Zhou dynasty in decline and being changed with the aid of petty fiefdoms' struggle for supremacy. His household might also have had aristocratic roots, however have been distinctly terrible at the time of his birth. His father was once a soldier who died when Confucius was once simply 3 years old. As a result, he used to be added up with the aid of his mother, who kindled his love of mastering and looking for wisdom. From a young age, he sought out instructors who ought to teach him in all factors of life. His all-round training concerned and up adept in the arts of archery, ritual, music, calligraphy, charioteering and arithmetic. He additionally studied records and poetry. Confucius was, in particular, involved with the ethical and cultural precepts recognized as Li. At 15 my coronary heart used to be set on learning, at 30 I stood firm, at 40 I had no extra doubts. At 50 I knew the mandate of heaven, at 60 my ear was once obedient, at 70 I ought to observe my heart's wish barring transgressing the norm. Confucius, the Analects, ch. 2. Confucius as a teacher. After the loss of life of his mother, Confucius spent 3 years in seclusion and bereavement. This enabled him to focal point on perfecting his philosophic ideals. At the stop of his duration of seclusion, he grew to become a teacher, educating human beings from all instructions in the historic arts of Li. Confucius quickly grew to be the recounted specialist in the artwork of Li, and he grew to be the chief sage to the Duke of Lu. However, the Duke of Lu used to be expelled from his town via a riot of ministers. Confucius observed him into exile and spent the subsequent 14 years working on his series of historic codes of behavior and morality. Isn't it a pleasure to find out about and exercise what you have learned? Isn't it additionally extremely good when pals go to from faraway places? If one stays no longer aggravated when he is no longer understood through humans round him, isn't he a sage? The Analects, Chapter 1. Confucius taught the significance of self-introspection. In particular, valuing the actual and truthful cause and performing one's obligation to the great of his ability. In archery we have something like the way of the most useful man. When the archer misses the middle of the target, he turns spherical and seeks for the reason of his failure in himself. Confucius, the doctrine of the mean. Confucius used to be extensively cherished with the aid of his college students, breaking with way of life. He grew to be pleasant with them and bought to understand them on a non-public level. He fashion of educating additionally assorted relying on their personalities and persona traits. He was once now not caught in a inflexible mode of educating, however. Took an modern strategy which led to a actual experience of loyalty amongst his students. Ironically, after his death, his instructing grew to be closely formalized and used to be regularly carried out pretty rigidly. Confucius grew to become a champion of education, assisting the thought that everybody should gain from now not simply mental knowledge, however a rounded training which taught standards of self-development and career to the increased public good. His recommendation to would-be rulers included: if you would govern a country of 1,000 chariots, a middle-sized state. You have to pay strict interest to business, be authentic to your word, be in your price range in expenditure and love the people. The Analects, ch. 1. Despite his glowing popularity and a growing variety of students, Confucius regularly encountered difficulties from these who adverse him or had been jealous of his influence. He tried for many years to put his thoughts into practice, getting worried in public service. However, he grew to be pissed off at the corruption and self-interest which used to be dominant in the courts of influence. Towards the stop of his life, Confucius despaired at the opportunity of ever returning society to justice and order. In his later years, he positioned much less emphasis on public career and instead, wrote prodigiously explaining his key standards and teachings. Death. On 21st of November 479 BCE, Confucius died from obvious herbal motives in Kfu, China. He used to be 73 years old. One story says he envisioned his very own loss of life after seeing a wounded antelope. In philosophic trend he stated of his impending passing: the splendid mountain have to collapse, the mighty beam should break, and the sensible man wither like a plant. Legacy. Although rather unsuccessful in his personal time, his philosophy took preserve round 200 BC and performed a massive function in influencing future Chinese society and Chinese philosophy. The philosophic essence of his teachings can be considered in the following quote: to exhibit forbearance and gentleness in educating others, and now not to revenge unreasonable behavior, this is the strength of southern regions. And the top man makes it his study to lie beneath arms, and meet demise barring feel sorry about, this is the electricity of northern regions, and the forceful make it their study. Therefore, the greatest man cultivates a pleasant harmony, except being susceptible, how company is he in his energy? Confucius, the doctrine of the mean. Confucius did now not declare miracles or any divinity, however had notable trust in the strength of education. Appreciate for the past, righteous conduct, and reform of corrupt practices. His personal lifestyles used to be now not especially incredible, and he used to be beset by way of many challenges, such as the demise of his mother and father and the political turmoil of his era. However, to Confucius, dealing with daily difficulties used to be a crucial phase of reforming your personality and turning into a higher person. Religion of Confucius. Although Confucius would be unaware of any non-secular teachings from backyard China, he presented a variant of the Golden Rule instructing which is regarded to be at the coronary heart of all spiritual and non-secular paths. What you do now not prefer carried out to yourself, do no longer do to others. His teachings on non-public improvement and looking for the root of advantage from truthful introspection additionally has parallels with the teachings of the Buddha, who lived at a comparable time in India, though they would have remained unaware of every other, to some. Confucius is regarded